It's supposed to unmute. It's supposed to fix that for me. But anyway, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Today is Thursday, August 25th, 2022. My name is Jeremy. This is my first cup of coffee with coffee grounds in it. Sad. Look at all the people who are here already this morning. That's almost word for word what I just said. Let's turn off the banner. This doesn't need to be here. There we go. Jenny says, would you like to go back to bed and start over? I would love to go back to bed and start over. Good morning to Andrew and Mark and Brian and Dennis and Jenny and John and Mark and Stacy and Andy and Andrew. I like when you guys sound off in the morning. Thank you to everyone for coming by, whether you're watching live later or listening. And shout out, as always, to Josh for our theme music, to Frank for all the work that he does on the back end. I appreciate you guys. How was your Wednesday? How'd it go? Brian's calling it Turkish coffee. Kelly says, sounds like you've had a cup already. I haven't. I think I slept well. No weird dreams last night. I did actually have a hard time falling asleep. Good morning, Nathan. Jenny says, Matt and Lilith are here today. It's a nice full house today. Awesome. Glad to hear it. I got through all of my email yesterday, which for some of you, that may not be a big deal. For me, this is a huge deal. I did a bunch of email, and then I did more email, and then I did more email. And then when I couldn't handle any more email, I went to the bank and I dropped off some orders at the post office. And then I shipped something at UPS, and then I stopped by Panera and I did more email. And then I woke up to like everybody replying to my emails. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I felt really good about getting through all that email. Some of you were waiting quite a while, and I apologize. It's a lot. It's a lot more email than it used to be. It used to be like one or two things a day. Granted, that was years ago. But now I have to minimize the email apps, the windows in Chrome, while I'm on a call. Otherwise, my eye just keeps going to them. It's like ding, 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 ding. In a 30-minute meeting, I will generally get 10 legitimate emails. Not all of them require a response, but it's a lot of emails. Nikki says, time for an assistant. I would love an assistant. Ray says, Wednesdays are my office days. I am stuck behind a computer all day on Wednesdays. I understand that. Wednesdays are the day I do the books. And one of the loans that I have, it's essentially a mortgage. It's not, but it is. I sat down, was going to go through and reconcile that in QuickBooks. And I'm looking at things. I'm like, wait a second, these numbers haven't changed. I gave them a whole bunch of money, and this number hasn't changed, as in the amount that I owe them. And I was like, oh no, I have to go to the bank. So I went to the bank and I was like, hi, that's weird. She was like, that is weird. And so she brings it up on her computer. I was like, can I look? And I was like, oh, this has been happening for a very long time. Not consistently. And she's looking at it, she's like, oh yeah. So there's this incredibly complex problem out there that somebody has to solve of why is money not being applied properly and how much do I actually owe? And for money, and they're doing something funny with money, they should be applying it to the principal, and they're not, which means they also need to reduce my interest. It's gonna get messy. But here's the thing. I can't tell them if they're right or wrong because I don't know. It's a cluster. Kelly says, you can tell summer is winding down. Class sizes are increasing again. Love it. This is my favorite weather is like 78 to 82 during the day and like 50 at night, maybe 55. And that's what we're having right now. It's absolutely the best. Hey Google, what's the weather going to be today?
Today in Moortown, it'll be partly cloudy with a forecasted high of 81 and a low of 60.
81, low of
Currently,
60.
it's 62 degrees.
I'll take it. It's saying it's 60. It's actually like 57. I will take it. I will take 81 all day. Beautiful weather. You can wear anything. If you have a meeting, you can wear pants. If you want to go to the beach, you can go to the beach. It's the best. This needs to go away. There we go. Nikki says, you just made my Google tell me the weather. Aha! Anytime it shows up in a movie, whether it's Alexa or Google, and I don't have any Apple devices, but I would imagine with Siri as well, when it shows up in a movie, my Googles are like freaking out. Brian says, bad dream here. Those cannot visit class last night. Working through my shoulder injury slowly. I was a spectator during sparring, mostly did a spar a little with Devlin and some, and worked on my form as much as I could. I'm trying to avoid a doctor's visit on the stinking shoulder. It's looking like that may not be avoidable. Time will tell. Committed to being in class, even if I can't be fully involved when injured, to keep the schedule of going active. I'm sorry you're dealing with a shoulder thing. I hope it gets better. And I hope that you are not simply letting pride get in between you and going to the doctor. There's a difference between, I think this thing will work itself out, and I don't want to go to the doctor. And I hope it is not the latter. I do fully agree with getting to class, even if you're not going to be able to participate at 100%. Heck, Andrew and I just did an episode on that. What was it, last Thursday? We've got an episode today to talk about. Time to go riding with this weather. Yeah, Andy, we still haven't gone riding yet. I still haven't been on my bike this summer. As ridiculous as that is. There has been so much to do on the weekends that if I'm home, I've been working. I've been working in the yard. But it's not quite harvest time, but it's almost harvest time. So there's a lot less. There are things that I'm going to harvest this weekend, but it won't take that long. I do have coming a cider press. Not so much for apples, at least not this year, but for the grapes. Why do you want to press a whole bunch of grapes, Jeremy? Because people have been asking for it for years, and I've decided it's probably the best gift I could give. Homemade wine. Brian says, I'm the typical guy when it comes to the doctors. Well, I'll tell you what. Don't be dumb. You only have one body. Don't compromise later for the sake of your pride now. Josh says it's his daughter's first day of second grade today. She was excited and nervous and was unfortunately up half the night, which meant I was also. I could see that. Kelly says, not going to just stomp your grapes with your bare feet. I could, but I wouldn't have anything to stomp them into. Well, I guess I could use the kiddie pool, but I really don't want my feet to be stained purple indefinitely. And you still have to have something that runs the juice off, right? Like it would be a bunch of mash. And I could do that, but there needs to be like a big screen or something for the stuff. Andrew's voice to text is not doing so well. Oh, you guys are ridiculous. I love it. All right. So it's a Thursday. So an episode I actually remembered that. I've been doing better lately. Remember when I never remembered that we had episodes? That was fun. Let's see. I didn't even recall seeing an email come through that this one was ready. Let's see if it's here. I hope it's here. Ah, so today is the public release of the Rapid Fire Q&A, episode 739. Some of you watched that live. Andrew and I talked, and it looks like number 19, we're going to be able to put a fixed time on it. So I'm looking forward to that. It will be midday, whatever day we're doing. I don't remember what day that is, but you'll be able to join live if you want. We will try to time it somewhere around like lunchtime. So maybe you can take your lunch break during that time and you can eat with us. Kelly says, yes, wine is my favorite fruit. Andy says, Friday Eve. Thank you. And you. Well, yeah, the Q&As are fun. I really enjoy doing those. And I'm trying to take everything that I've learned about what people like in live content, things that I've learned from working with you all here. Yes, you're working whether you realize it or not. The things that I learned in the 18 months that Gabe and I did Whistlekick Live, what I've learned working with Andrew on the live Q&As. How do we take that and how do we take the best of that into the live hangout inside the Patreon? So if you're part of Patreon, what did we say? Wednesday the 7th, September 7th. I think that's the next one in the evening. So you can join us. This one be on Zoom because last time it was one-way and I didn't like it. I wanted it to be bidirectional. There's a big word for my brain for this early in the morning. Take care, Stacy. Stacy's headed out. And just one final thing on Q&As. If you have questions that you want Andrew to ask me, that you want to be posed, or perhaps you can come on and ask it live, reach out to Andrew. Andrew at whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. You know what? We're jumping into this. Ray says, I had a coworker whose daughter is starting college asked me this yesterday. I'm worried about her. You do martial arts. What's something, move, mace, or whatnot, could she learn or use to stay safe? My answer, her mind is the best weapon. Be aware and do whatever to avoid danger is the best thing to stay safe. I've been out of college. Wow. I've been out of college almost half my life, which sounds ridiculous. It doesn't feel like that long. Because I remember what it felt like going into college. And I remember, especially as a freshman, the social pressure. And there were plenty of circumstances that could have gone much differently. Especially, sadly, I'd been a woman, not a man. And I think the number one thing that any parent can help a child develop is a willingness to say no in a way that doesn't make them feel ostracized. As adults, we get far too preachy. Just say no. It's okay. If they don't like it, if they don't respect your decision, they're not your friends. Well, yeah, but social hierarchy matters, and these are people that they're going to spend the next 4 years with. So it's not that simple. Figuring out strategies on how to say no without actually verbalizing no, how to not be there, how to do any of these things makes a lot of sense. Yeah. We're not going to go into that, but I would say we've talked about this on the show various times. If it gets to the point where you need to use technique, you missed something. Technique is the last option, right? If we think about the continuum of de-escalation, that's probably not the best phrase to make out of it, but avoidance and saying no and walking away and deflection and all the things that we can do. If it comes to violence, we messed up. But we're not perfect. We're going to mess up. It will happen. And I'm glad that we also have those skills. Good morning, Gad. Andrew says maybe we do a full episode about this topic. I think we should. Here's what I'm going to ask. Let's do this. I'm going to ask for everyone's contributions to Andrew. Let's make an episode designed to be shared from parents of college students to those college students. Here's 20 minutes for you to watch or listen because they're not going to check out our podcast. Kids aren't going to like our, well, most. That gives them strategies on how to do this. So we need all of your ideas. Please get them to Andrew. We'll put them together. We'll add our own thoughts. I am not promising that your ideas are included, because if I disagree with them, if Andrew and I disagree with them, we will not use them. We're also looking for simplicity. Okay. So let's do this. Let's make the definition of martial arts here very broad. Okay. So there we go. All right. Nikki says a whole seminar could be done with this. Absolutely. And there are self-defense classes that target or are done at college campuses. The problem is it's socially, it's the wrong time. Kids don't want to go to this stuff. You either have to get them years before, probably 8th to 9th grade is the last year that they're going to be really receptive to this. Or they tend to pop up when something happens. When there's a problem that happens to someone they know, they might seek it out. Or if there's a big problem, the school will sponsor it. I've seen this happen time and time again. I just saw a friend, actually, back when I helped with youth group things, I sponsored her for confirmation at the church, which there was a lengthy discussion internally as to whether a Jew could sponsor someone for confirmation. And because it was a UCC, they ultimately agreed yes. But she posted a heartbreaking message on Facebook. I was reading it first thing this morning. Someone broke into her car in Burlington, stole her purse. She doesn't care so much about the purse or the money, but her father's ashes and a few other things that were really personal. And just kind of watching how that has already altered her psychology. She feels like she's being watched in things. Stuff is heavy for some people. And these are tools that people need ahead of time, not after. It's much harder to program what needs to be programmed after because it's viewed through the wrong filter. Why can't we program it ahead of time? Because most people are also looking at it through the wrong filter. This will never happen to me. This is unnecessary versus this isn't enough. I'm scared. How do I apply this to the specific situation that occurred? Right. I love that. Andrew says, sidebar, but my daughter just walked in and said, oh, you're watching Coffee Guy. I've been called worse. She says, I was going to ask how you sponsored someone for confirmation. I made a very confused face when you said that. It was a great church. Only church I've ever been to that had Passover Seder. The first time I went, I cringed at the Hebrew. And so I was like, okay, next year, please let me read, please. I'm like, okay. So I read all the Hebrew, which was not that much. It was a modified service. Totally fine. coffee guy. All right. Frank did give us some stuff to chat about, so let's do this. On this day in 1930, Sir Sean Connery was born. Is Sean Connery your favorite Bond? He's not my favorite Bond. I think he's wonderful, but I like Daniel Craig as Bond better. I know. Some of you are going to find that blasphemous. Here we go. I am not going to read this with an accent. I know. Was it yesterday I read with an attempt at a Paul Hogan Australian accent? My Sean Connery is not very good. Some age, others mature. I'm thinking about the difference. Some people do get older. They don't get more mature. Some people get older and mature. Some people just mature and don't seem to get older. I think that's me. I still feel 25. I'm not. I'm very aware that I'm not, but I feel good. Dennis says Sean Connery is the best Bond ever. I expected you to be one of the people who would say that. Dennis. Jenny says, I don't like Bond, not my thing. I would be curious which movies you've seen. Most of the people I hear that have said that about the older films. The Daniel Craig films are, in my opinion, are as good as any action film. Well, Mark agrees. Lou says Roger Moore. Hey, we have options. That's okay. Oh, Kelly doesn't like Bond either. Number 2, I take the good with the bad. I can't love people in slices. You don't have to like everything about a person to love them. You don't have to be indifferent to aspects of their personality to accept them and those things. No one is perfect. And I think we are in a time where, because people focus on negatives, they look for things that are wrong. Oh, here's the problem with this person or this job or this car or this home or this belief, etc. They don't have to take the responsibility of being in a relationship or buying a home or changing careers. It's a lot simpler, a lot less rewarding, I would say. Let's see. Didn't turn off that comment. There we go. Dennis says Roger Moore was quite excellent too. Gat says, I really liked George Lazenby. Might get some eyes rolling when they hear this. Too bad he only got to star in one movie. Daniel Craig is more like the Bond in the novels. Sean Connery brought his own charm, but he wasn't the Bond that Fleming created in his books. And I think that that's why, now I'll be honest, I don't think I ever read any of the books. But the part that I think Daniel Craig nails so well versus, admittedly, the bits that I've seen of other films, it's understated. A spy would be understated, not dramatic, not over the top. If you want to see the antithesis, it's Archer, right? Like, that's not what a spy is supposed to do. They're supposed to be quiet and in the background so they can do their job. And even when he's in the worst situations, Daniel Craig is calm. He's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to fade out here. And it's something that I think as martial artists, we can all appreciate, that idea that I'm not going to be the center of attention. Andrew says, Sean had the best suits and overall style. Roger was the funniest. Daniel had the best action. All the others were good too. No such thing as a bad Bond. Just have to accept it's fiction. And Lou says Sean Connery and Roger Moore were suave. Daniel Craig is more of a tough guy. He's more of a Bruno or a Frank. Kelly says, no, if Harrison Ford was Bond, I would have watched. And our last quote from Sean Connery today, nothing is impossible, only mathematically improbable. I like that. Things are impossible until we realize they can be done. I give the example of the 4-minute mile whenever I get to this subject. But there are plenty of other things that took forever. We were never going to send someone to space. And then we did. And now a bunch of people have sent people to space. Countries with far fewer resources have put things in orbit. Private companies are putting things in orbit. Private companies are making the things that put things in orbit. There's a small company based in Vermont that does the propulsion systems for some of those things that go in orbit. They're very small, really cool. What's the name of the company? Benchmark Technologies, if you care to look them up. Their CEO spoke at an event I was at last year. Seems like a nice guy. The technology is real cool. If we dwell on what's not possible, just like if we dwell on what's negative, it doesn't work out. But if we focus on opportunities, possibilities, things that we can do, movement, no matter how slowly, we see progress, we see benefit, we grow. And isn't that the goal? Why waste your energy on things you can't do? If you don't believe you can do it, that's okay. But you might be wrong. Focus on what you believe you can do. Dennis's response to Kelly wanting Harrison Ford is, only if Chewie was in the story too. And Jenny says, okay, now I'm listening. A James Bond Star Wars crossover. Okay, I can get there. Bond is kidnapped on a mission and smuggled somewhere in an effort to be sold. And I can't find it. No, this is a terrible plot. I'll leave it to you guys. If you come up with something cool, you can post it tomorrow. All right. Kelly's off to shred zucchini. All right. Now remember, if you want to support us in everything that we're doing, we've got a Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. We've got stuff at the store, whistlekick.com. You can use the code FIRSTCUP15. Don't forget, we've got all kinds of stuff coming up in the fall. We've got 3 free training days. You can still sign up for All In Weekend next year. I know it seems really far away, but I will promise you, there are people who are not going to get in. They're going to be really sad because they waited too long. And if you want the whole thing, it's whistlekick.com/family. I updated the family page yesterday with 2 things. First Cup, the only martial arts morning show, available live 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I want to thank you all for coming by. I appreciate you all. We got more comments coming in. Maybe somebody found a plot. Come on. I'm clicking buttons and it's not working. There we go. Lou, you are correct. Mark's mind melted. Oh, wow. Gad says, and Q handing Harrison Ford a whip to add to his arsenal. Okay, now we're bringing in Indiana Jones. Insane. Jenny says, creating Star Wars crossover is the new 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Kelly says, yeah, whip against a machete. I love it. Hope we got the wheels turning. I hope you have a great day. Do something. Train. Just kick something. Punch something. Do a form. Every day is an opportunity to better your skills, or, and I think this is understated, to slow the degradation of those skills in between progress. Right? Okay. I'll see you back here tomorrow for Friday. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.